Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Welcome back to the G-1 Climax 36 live update. 8 part 2. Well, our semifinals are now set for Saturday. Tomorrow's a travel day to Ryogoku Kagokigan, so no action tomorrow for New Japan. But for now, let's run down the haters' guide to this point in the semifinals. Let's start with the guys who didn't make it, and we'll start in the A block. And the worst of the worst in the A block was the Great Okan. You know, for a guy who has both the Never Openweight 6-man titles and the IWGP tag titles, in addition to being a master of 15 to 17 different disciplines of martial arts, I would have expected you to at least do better and play it straight up and prove it. Instead, you chose to rip pages right out of the House of Torture's playbook and perform to one of your worst G1 performances in your career. To show how much of a monster you are. Would I be too surprised that after you and Hanare dropped the IWGP tag, and then you, Hanare, and Ospreay dropped the IWGP 6-man, Never Openweight 6-man tags, that you leave the Empire and join the House of Torture? I would not be too damn surprised if that happened. Hell, I wouldn't mind you staging a coup against Narita to take it over. But get your own head out of your fucking ass, dude. I mean, what happened to the guy who saved a little girl from getting raped in 2020, a 13-year-old kid from nearly getting assaulted in Kawasaki back in 2022? What happened to that, Okan? God, dickhead. Jake Lee. I used to have a lot of respect for this guy when he was in Pro Wrestling Noah, but he has really devolved since coming to New Japan to being a follower as opposed to the leader he was on board in the Den, as opposed to the leader that he was in the Arc. On the Arc. Like Okan, you finished 3-6. You even got the tiebreaker over your stablemate. And like your stablemate, you had to take shortcuts to get all 3 of your wins. Good God. And you couldn't even spoil the IWGP Heavyweight Champion from getting into the final, getting into the semis. How pathetic. Yuto Ice. Well, not bad for a debut, but you pretty much ended up how I expected, a 4-5 record. Couldn't take down many of the established vets, two of the established vets, 2 of the 3 established vets in your block, and fell to not only your boss in Unbound Company, but also to the House of Torture and to Sonata and Takeshita. Still, if you can get the stigma of a tag wrestler washed off you, though, you could go far. But how long is that going to take? Sonata. Some would say this is a fall from grace, but others like myself would say him finishing 4-5 is what you expect out of him. But if you look at his track record going back to his debut in 2016, and 4-5 is a constant with him. No matter what identity he takes. Sure, the 2020 and 2022 and 2023 tournaments are outliers, you'll say. And they are. But what good is he going to be if he can't get out of his own way? In all honesty, I don't know. Here it is, last year's event, where he also finished with 8 points. How can you go from top of the heap to basically spin your wheels in just 3 years? Simple. You be a slacker. And this is someone who was considered a Keiichi Muto disciple who got kidnapped and joined All Japan. Maybe when his contract runs out, he should go back to All Japan. But that's just me. Shin Takagi. Like Sonata, this is another guy who spins his wheels at 8 points on average in every G1 he's been in since his debut in 2019. Oh, sure, you can make the 20 with the 2013 and 2023 tournaments serving as outliers. In 2021, 2023, and 2024 tournaments serving as outliers. And this is a guy, but given that he wants the high of being an IWGP Heavyweight Champion in front of a roaring crowd instead of a silent one. Yeah, COVID is where Shingo got... Holding the title during COVID is where Shingo got fucked over royally. And no one can blame me for saying that. But the Dragon's running low on time. At 43, he's coming up on his... The Dragon is about to turn 44, which means he doesn't have a lot of tournaments left. So he better make the few that he's got left count. Hiroki Goto. Kind of like, much like with the other 3, this is where I expected him to wind up. At 8 points. Had he gone into last year's as IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, he would have gone in with would have come out of it finishing with a 10 spot. But a shoulder injury, as well as film commitments, forced him to withdraw and have Taichi take his place, and Taichi only ended up with 6. Goto may only have like 1 or 2 more tournaments left in him. And to prove that G in G1 stands for Goto. But like I said, Edward last year, he was only going to get 1 world title run, and he got it last year. But at the very least, he gets a consolation prize. Like Sonata, he has a consolation prize in his pocket. If Tsuji can hold on through October, an IWGP title match. A future IWGP title match. Bull no leg. So close and yet so far, yet again, a wrestler who uses House of Torture-esque antics chips him from going into the playoff rounds. But Bolton is showing consistency and the future of possibly a Gaijin babyface ace and a legitimate threat. Can the Cosmic Beast... Well, I know the Cosmic Beast will be back. Next year may be his time to shine. Just make sure you don't end up with people who use House of Torture like antics. At least like Goto and Sanada, you have a title shot in your pocket, a heavyweight title shot in your pocket. So close yet so far from going for a repeat to cash up, but the curse usually hits. But the G1 curse usually hits rather commonly. The only guys that have been able to avoid that curse have been avoid the curse of no repeat G1s have been Masahiro Chono, Hiroshi Tenzan, and Kazuchika Okada. And Takeshita just couldn't bring himself into that echelon. If he had just managed to beat Oiwa, he would have gone on. But now he owes at least 3 New Japan World Television title shots. It's not going to be easy for the Alpha. He's been in a downward spiral in 2026. Kicked out of the Don Callis family after winning the international title. Dropped the international title. But we all knew that the eventual double cross by Don Callis was coming. You can trace it back to when Okada joined the DCF in 2025. But once Takeshita gets this belt off his waist, maybe things will go back to normal for him. I don't know. Moving on to the B block. Shota Umino. A set of back-to-back concussions within a 5-day span. Losing the global title to Gabe Kidd, and then getting concussed by Zack Sabre Jr. on night 1, forcing him to fall out. Now you're going to be out for over a month at minimum. This kid just can't catch a break. I mean, this kid just cannot catch a break. Oscar. Well, like I said, for 8 points is what you expect at most for the majority of debutantes in this tournament. And this big German giant proved to be quite a monster in his own right. He wins over Unbound Company brother Joe Maloney, win a never openweight title shot in his pocket against Aaron Wolf, and a win over the House of Torture on night 1, plus the forfeit. And he had quality matchups against Uemura, Zack Sabre Jr., and Hanare, putting up one hell of a fight to try to get the IWGP Tag Title shot. Better be thankful your partner got it. And you guys now have a full, at least a partial line shot back to the IWGP Tag Titles. For now. Aaron Wolf. Yeah, tough break for the Judo Master. But again, like Oscar, this is where 8 points is where you probably expected him to end up. And is where you expect him to end up. And hey, at least he's got a global time. But hey, at least you got a you got a victory over a former IWGP champion in Callum Newman. And if Newman chooses to defend his title shot instead of going right after the title, which I wish the winners of this tournament would go back to instead of immediately cashing in. Damn you to hell for that, Zach. Damn you to hell for that, by the way, Zack Sabre Jr. Or if Newman wins the title, you get first crack. You or Maloney would get the first crack. But things are not going to be easy for Aaron. He's got at least 5 men coming after his Never Crown, and one of them is a nightmare named Ren Narita, who is hell-bent on bringing that belt back into the house by any means necessary. Hanare. 8 points, again, where I expected him to land with this tournament. All the chips were laid there. Well, he would have had a long... By the time Gabe Kidd won his match over Narita, he was already out of the running. Hanare could at least play spoiler to his boss, and he put his heart out there, even re-aggravating the separated shoulder Callum's been dealing with, and bruising his ribs badly. But in the end, he just came up short. And when you throw in that they have possible challengers for he and O'Connor have possible challengers for his tag titles waiting in the wings, it's not going to be easy. Whether that come in the form of Unbound Company or the Mighty Don't Kneel, that's dependent on the bookers. Next up, Drill Maloney. He got screwed by circumstance. Even if Umino had been healthy, the outcome wouldn't have changed all that much. But key losses to Zack Sabre Jr., Oscar, and Aaron Wolf did him in. And Hanare and Aaron Wolf did him in. He had he had a good outing, 5-4, where you expect someone like the Driller to end up. But again, the fact that injury bit his block and screwed him out of a match essentially cost him. And I feel sorry for the Driller Dan Maloney. And for Maloney. And because of that. Zack Sabre Jr. He tried, I'll give him that much, to climb out of the 1-4 hole, but everyone else winning and him, but with everyone else that was ahead of him basically not losing, the game of catch-up just proved to be too much for Zack to overcome, and he got mathematically knocked out. I'll give him credit as a former G-1 winner for trying his damnedest to climb out of a 1-4 hole to try to get back in the race. He tried, but it just wasn't enough. Especially when Callum, Narita, Gabe, and Uemura just weren't fucking losing. Seeing the key matches he needed them to lose. It's back to the drawing board or back into the tag or go after the Never or tag titles for Zachy. But we'll see how it plays out. You had your destiny in your hands, Narita. All you had to do was beat Gabe Kidd, and you couldn't do that because you and him were too busy beating each other up before the bell rang in traditional House of Torture vintage, and he beat you in just a little over 2 minutes. And you had Corkin Hall rallying behind you, a rarity ever since you joined House of Torture, you dumb fuck. But in the end, it just did you in. But in the end, your desire to play outside ring games with Kidd instead of getting the thing in the damn ring when you were getting the match in the damn ring when you were supposed to, fucked you over. Tough break, kid. And this is the kid that Evil left the keys to the House of Torture to. The sooner Okan leaves the United Empire and joins the House and stages a coup to get rid of Narita, the better. Believe me. The final elimination, Gabe Kidd. What a hubristic bastard. He thought he had it all going. He just needed Uemura to lose, and he couldn't do that. They needed Calm to lose, and he couldn't do that. Still, a personal best of 6-3 in the tournament, nothing to scoff at. However, the way he's been treating that IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship is similar to how Naito treated the Intercontinental title 10 years ago after he won it. The sooner Umino or Maloney come at Uemura, Umino, or Maloney come after him to rescue that belt, the better. Though I don't see Kid dropping it until Tokyo Dome. Until the Tokyo Dome. You want to fuck the lion mark you once wrestled on with pride, even as part of Bullet Club? Don't wait until your head gets put in the grinder, kid. Okay. Now that we've gone through the 16 men that failed to get to this point, let's go over the 4 that did make it. Starting A block with IWGP Heavyweight Champion Yota Tsuji. This is the 3rd year in a row Tsuji has made it to this point in the tournament. 2024, he fell in the finals to Zack Sabre Jr. 2025, fell in the semis to Evil. Now in 2026, he looks to do something that no one's done since Kensei Sasaki during the 2000 G-1 Climax. Enter the tournament as IWGP Heavyweight Champion and leave as IWGP Heavyweight Champion. With both the trophy and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in hand. We've seen it can be done. That can be done. Just go back to the N1 victory in Noah 2 years ago, and Kaito Kiyomiya won the tournament and retained the GHC Heavyweight Championship in the final match of the tournament because he was going in as GHC Heavyweight Champion. But Tsuji's going to have his work cut out for him. Uemura is a longtime generational rival. From singles matches to hair versus hair to global championship matches. For the most part, Uemura has seldom beaten Tsuji. But maybe he can get the win over the champ this time. But Tsuji is looking to run the table. Can he do it? I don't know. Opposite him in the A block, Ryohei Oiwa. Oiwa made it the furthest for TMDK? Talking about Freaky Friday. Between the two men, Oiwa did something? Talk about Freaky Friday. Out of between the 2 members of TMDK that are part of this tournament, Oiwa made it the furthest? Huh. But then it goes to show that Zach's tutelage does bear some fruit. Getting victories for Hiroki Goto, Bone Ole, Konosuke Takeshita, Jake Leeson, and Great Khan, but also laying colossal eggs against Yota Tsuji, Shingo Takagi, and Yuto Ice. This is a far more aggressive Oiwa. And this kid better prove that he is mighty and show the world why the mighty don't kneel. Now moving on. Opposite them in their respective matches. Let's start with B2, with B block C2. Ranker 2. Yuya Uemura. His third G1 tournament has gone from damage sponge to top contender. Even if he won a gimmick belt, get champion of a gimmick belt, that has long since been put to bed. This is going to be one of his toughest matchups. Against a man he's seldom been able to beat, both during pre-excursion and post-excursion. Uemura cannot let his last one-on-one match failure slide. For him, he needs to win and advance to the final. And the deck might be stacked his way. Having beaten a former heavyweight champion, Zack Sabre Jr., to get to this point. It was one of his 6 victories to get to this point. But will he be able to pull it off? I don't know. Now we move on to the final man, Cal Newman. 2026 has been one hell of a year for the Prince. He drove David Finlay out of New Japan in February. And Clark Connors away out of the company in February. Won and became the youngest New Japan Cup winner in March. Became the youngest IWGP Heavyweight Champion in April. And now in August is on the cusp of becoming the youngest man to win the G1 Climax. Though along the way, he's had to change tactics, going from the clean-cut, fair-play babyface of 24 and 25 to a more ruthless, shortcut-taking heel. A tonal shift at the end of 25 that has fully taken root in 2026 with the Empire as a whole. And considering if he wins, he'll be facing one of two. If he beats Oiwa on Saturday, he'll be facing one of 2 familiar foes. The man who took the belt off him and caused him the separated shoulder injury he's been dealing with, combined now with the bruised ribs he recently got at the hands of his own stablemate. It'll be his first matchup against Oiwa in the semis. Will he pull it out? Will he make the grip kiss the crown? Or will he be locked in the grip is the question. Newman's going to be battered and bruised going into his match on Saturday. They all are at this point. But Cal may have the best shot. But the prince wants to reclaim his throne, and he'll stop at nothing to get it. And there's your 4 for the G1 Climax 36. As for my picks for the matches, Uemura over Tsuji, Newman over Oiwa, Newman over Uemura. Yeah. I'm saying Oiwa and Uemura kiss the crown, and they make way for the prince. And then we get Tsuji versus Newman all over again at the soonest in Ryogoku in October, at the latest Wrestle Kingdom in January. That's how I'm looking at things. I mean, 2026 has been the year of the prince. Now let's keep it rolling. Comment, like, and subscribe. I'm Mets2128. Goodbye. Subscribe to both the Jedi Sports Media Network and the and my channel, Mets2128. Goodbye and good night. Bang, bang, bang.